Hi everyone, this is Rod Cate and welcome to Rocket Motivation. We don't have a guest this week because of holiday scheduling, but that's fine because this gives me the opportunity to speak directly with you guys about my life and allows me to give you my thoughts on how to live your best life regardless of tough circumstances that come your way. For those of you who have not listened to the first episode of Rocket Motivation where I tell my story, but back when I was 15 years old, I broke my neck playing high school football and was paralyzed from the neck down. I was fortunate to regain movement and actually was able to walk again. I've been a lawyer for 28 years. Even today, I do struggle physically. If you want to hear that full story, please go to episode 1. But based on my life experience, these are my thoughts on handling adversity. And I think it's better to talk about what not to do. I've got 3 things on what not to do. Number 1 is, you don't ask why me, you don't feel sorry for yourself, and you don't fold up. You embrace your adversity, and that's how you grow. But now, having said this, these are just words. Everybody who talks about motivation and gives advice probably says something along these lines. And actually, I think asking why me and feeling sorry for yourself on a very limited basis probably helps in not folding up. When I was in the hospital, I was still completely paralyzed. About 2 weeks into it, I saw my reflection in a mirror the first time. My face was completely broken out because they had given me steroids to reduce the swelling in the spinal cord, and my face was also puffy. My head had been shaved. And what I saw in the mirror was just ghastly. It didn't even look like me. And then on top of that, on this day, I'd become friends with one of the orderlies there, and he thought it'd be fun to kind of play a joke on me. He thought the urinal that I had was one of those non-leak or non-spill ones where the urine can't come back out. So he thought it'd be fun to act like he was throwing it on me. Well, he did it, and actually it was not a non-spill urinal, and so I got covered with pee. That day, I'd had about enough. And I broke down, I cried. I asked why me, and I felt sorry for myself. You need to break down. You need to kind of get to the bottom to where you can build yourself back up. But there's really no magic. You have to make the determination yourself that you are going to do what it takes to move on from adversity and live your best life. So I think that's your start. You got to determine, all right, I'm facing adversity here. I'm going to do something. But handling adversity, it's all about not quitting. Don't quit. Man, those are great words. But how do you actually get to the mindset that no matter what happens to you, you're going to keep moving forward? So this leads us to my story. I call it Rod versus the waterslide. Now, this is a story I usually end my public speaking appearances with.
3, 2, 1.
Okay, so, I do some public speaking, and I oftentimes will end my talks with the story I'm about to tell you. I call it Rod versus the waterslide. So a few years ago, I'm up with my family in the Smoky Mountains, and we're staying at a resort. It's one of those outdoor water parks, and we're sitting around, and I look over and I see this water slide. This is one of the most awesome looking things. It's one of those water slides where it's way up in the air, and you go into this tube, and you're standing on a trap door, and then the trap door falls away, and then you fly down, and you go so fast, and you're going through loops, and then it spits you out at the end. Well, I decided I had to do that. But here's the problem. Here I am. I've got to go up 6 flights of stairs. I know as I go up, people are going to be staring at me, looking over the guy like, what's wrong with that guy? Then I got to get off the water slide. It comes out in this tube where you got to step over the side to try to get off of it. So, there I got some adversity I got to overcome just to get on the water slide. But to me, that's minimal type adversity. There's nothing. I'm not going to allow that to stop me from doing what I want to do. So anyway, I walk over to the stairs to go up the water slide. One of my sisters was there, and she goes with me because I can't take my cane up there because you can't go sliding down the water slide so fast with a cane in your hand. So I hand her the cane once I get to the stairs where I can grab the rail. She goes over to the to where the water slide spits you out. So up I go. I mean, here I go up. I start climbing the flights of stairs. Like always, people staring, but that's something I've been used to over my several years of, or the multiple years of being physically disabled. But I finally get to the top. I don't have my cane, and it's about 10 or 15 feet away from the top of the stairs to the actual tube where you get in the water slide. So what I have to do is, I call it spider manning it. I kind of cling to the wall or cling to the rail to get over to the tube to step into it. So I get over there. You have to step up, kind of lift my right leg, and then I pull my left leg in, and I'm standing on the trap door, and you're almost just completely vertical. I mean, it might lean back just a tad, and so what you got to do, you got to cross your arms and kind of cross your legs, because you go so fast. That's what's required before trap door goes. Well, then I'll look over. There's a 15 or 16-year-old girl who's kind of running the show, and I look over at her, and she's looking at me like, man, what is this? I don't think she's ever seen something like me climbing those stairs to go down this water slide. There for a second, I thought, God, is she going to let me do this? But she did. She didn't stop me. So they, does the countdown, the 3, the 2, the 1, and while she's doing this, I'm thinking like, well, man, maybe this, I don't know, was this the smartest thing? I mean, what happens if this trap door falls and maybe I catch my foot on something, and because when it falls, my legs aren't like other people's legs. They might, they might stiffen out, and I might catch something. But I went through it. 3, 2, 1, boom, trapdoor falls away, and so you plummet down. This is one of the most fun, most exhilarating. You're flying down, and it's so fast, and you're going down, and you're going so fast that it loops around against gravity, and then it spits you out. But the whole thing's over in about 10 seconds at the top. So why did I tell this story? Well, this is basically a metaphor for my life. And I think there's 3 lessons that I get out of this. One is, you can't worry about what you look like when you're doing what you want to do. If you're embarrassed about what you look like when you're doing something you really want to do, you'll never do it. So that's number one. Don't worry about what other people are thinking of you when you're on your path doing something you want to do. Number 2, you can't sit life out. Life is a participation sport. I could have just not done this. I could have gone to the lazy river. I could have just got on an inner tube and floated around, which, hey, there's nothing wrong with the lazy river. But the lazy river is not the water slide with the trap door. So that's number 2. You don't sit life out. You got to go for it. And number 3, life goes by as quickly as this water slide. I mean, like I said, this thing was over in about 10 seconds. I mean, it's over quick. I mean, life isn't over in 10 seconds, but I'm 54 years old right now, and I look back, and it's just amazing how quickly life goes. And so that's why you got to do whatever it takes in your life to get to the trap door. You got to get to the point where it all begins, and where the fun is, and where what life is all about. And I mean, that's why it's just so important to not worry about what people think. It's so important not to sit life out, because life goes by quickly. Now, I realize the story about the water slide to some people may not seem like that big of a deal, kind of small things. And, climbing 6 flights of stairs is not the same thing as climbing a mountain. But, it's the small things in life. You do one small thing, another small thing, another small thing. Then all of a sudden, those small things add up to the big things. And the way I like to go through life is, I'm passionate about the small things. I mean, to me, it's, hanging out with family and friends. It's going to see a movie. It's having a good meal. It can be something as simple as taking a great nap. That, to me, is what life is about. And that's the passion. I think, we have to live life with passion. When we die, you have a tombstone. And on your tombstone is you have a date when you were born, and then you have a date when you die. And in between that, you have a dash. Well, the dash is your life. And so you got to decide, what's your dash going to be? You got to have the realization that you have one life, and you have to make it great. Your dash must be incredible. Each day of your life that goes by, it's gone. You never get it back. just like you can't just live for the weekends. You got to embrace your dash. You can't be fearful. You got to go after things, just, like my waterslide story. I mean, you got to embrace life. Life is not a spectator sport. I mean, you got to participate in life, and that is your dash. You've got to embrace the dash because you're trying to do the best you can in life. You're trying to enjoy life. You got one life. You got to make it great. Okay, so you embrace it. You embrace life. So then, when you do have adversity that comes along and you're trying to overcome it, well, by doing the small things, by embracing the dash, that's what helps you overcome adversity. It's your love of life. It's living a passionate life. If you love your life and you're living a passionate life, you want to keep going with it. That's the whole thing. I mean, that is your dash. And so you want to stay on the course. You don't want to get off the course. You want to keep living your best life and you want to be living your greatest life. But that's what life is all about. You're going to hit adversity. And so if you're focused on living your best life and you're living a passionate life, then it's going to make it easier to overcome adversity because you love your life so much. So you're going to put the effort in to overcome that adversity. Savoring the little things and embracing that dash is the fuel for what we talk about on Rocket Motivation. All right, so we're already 9 episodes in, and I want to thank the listeners for sticking with us. I hope you're getting something out of the show. I hope it's inspiring, and I hope it's helping you. And I want to thank our guests up to this point. They've been inspiring. I'm sure they've inspired you, and they've also inspired me. The guests that have come on this show, they have done the things that we've talked about on this show, but they've done them in their own way. I mean, they embrace their own dash. They embrace it in the way that they've needed to. And, I'd really like to hear from you, the listener. If you've got a rocket motivation story that you think would be interesting and would be motivational, it kind of fits the criteria for rocket motivation, or if you have a rocket motivation story that you think would help others or would inspire others to hear it, you can email me at rodcate1@gmail.com, RODCATE, the number 1@gmail.com. Or you can subscribe, rate, and review the show and leave a comment in your review, and we'll look at it and we'll get back with you. Next week's guest is David Mudcat Saunders. He's been a political strategist at the highest level of politics, but his real success is dealing with and overcoming alcoholism. Should be a great show. Thanks for listening to the show. If you're interested in getting my book, Get Back Up, just go to Amazon and put in Get Back Up and my name, Rod Cate, and it'll pop right up. I would love it if you would subscribe to the podcast and rate and review the show wherever you listen to your podcasts. I would really appreciate it if you'd share it with a friend. I would like as many people to hear my message as possible, and we'll see you next week. Never give up and always get back up.